One of the most iconic, but I believe misunderstood of all musical masterpieces is Bach's so-called Ciaccona for unaccompanied violin, the finale of his Partita in D minor. That misunderstanding begins with Bach's confusing title, which, as seen here in his autographed manuscript of 1720, is actually Ciaccona. Bach's Ciaccona has a unique place in Western music. Under the inauthentic title Ciaccona, it became a standard repertory piece soon after its first documented public performance in 1840 by Ferdinand David, with Felix Mendelssohn improvising a piano accompaniment. Because of the slow tempo established in the 19th century and continuing today, the piece acquired and has maintained the reputation of being a musical monument of the greatest profundity and even an expression of tragic emotion. Thus, as Brahms wrote that, quote, "On one stave, Bach writes a whole world of the deepest thoughts and most powerful feelings," unquote, so a Boston Globe critic a few years ago could describe Bach's Ciaccona as, quote, "maybe the most tragic piece of music ever composed," unquote. Bach's unquestioned transcendental achievement has led to his Ciaccona being transcribed and arranged over 200 times and choreographed over 30 times. It has been incorporated into movies and theater pieces. It figures in fictional and nonfiction books and has inspired numerous new compositions. It has been performed to commemorate occasions of national mourning, for example, after the 9/11 attacks and the death of Martin Luther King Jr. But it has also inspired the hip-hop singer-writer Dessa to write the doleful song Ciaccona for her 2010 album, A Badly Broken Code. I would like to suggest, however, that the still accepted opinion of Bach's Ciaccona as a deeply serious, meditative, even tragic work needs radical reassessment. Consider the following. First, Bach's Ciaccona is the finale of a dance suite in the Franco-German tradition. But when the work finally reached the public in 1840, the French Baroque dances had been forgotten. Even before 1840, German writers on music were calling the Ciaccona falsely a slow dance. Moreover, the Germans, still smarting from the Napoleonic Wars and the destruction of the Holy Roman Empire, and yearning for national union, had a generally low opinion of French Baroque music, considering it frivolous and lacking in seriousness. To link Bach with French culture was therefore to deprecate the composer who was acquiring mythical status in a Germany desperately in need of cultural heroes. Second, Bach's Ciaccona was treated as an independent concert piece beginning with that first documented public performance in 1840. This disconnected the work from its origins as part of a dance suite. In fact, the earliest public performance of the entire D minor partita I have found was by Georges Enescu, who played it in Paris in 1900. Even today, performances of the Ciaccona alone outnumber those of the whole partita. Third, the finales of Baroque sonatas and suites are normally fast and sometimes virtuosic. One simply needs to look at Bach's own sonatas and suites. However, finales of a tragic nature are unknown to me. Fourth, the recent widely accepted notion that Bach's Ciaccona commemorates the death of his first wife, Maria Barbara, has no evidentiary basis. Finally, the Italian term Ciaccona, Bach's title, is historically associated with a fast tempo. However, when one realizes that Bach has for some reason Italianized all the French dance titles of his D minor partita, for example, the Allemande is designated Allemanda, we realize that Bach's title Ciaccona should be understood as Ciaccona. This makes some sense, since the structure and style of Bach's Ciaccona are closely related to two French theatrical dances, the Ciaccone and the Passacaille. These were used in spectacular celebratory production numbers within French operas or ballets by Lully and his successors, and were probably Bach's principal model. Ciaccona and Pasacai share many common characteristics that are also found in Bach's Ciaccona. However, the French Ciaccona, which was normally in major mode, was a fast dance, whereas the Pasacai was normally in minor mode, like Bach's Ciaccona, and had a moderate but not slow tempo. Bach's Ciaccona therefore best fits the model of the French theatrical Pasacai, while also incorporating features of the Ciaccona, such as starting on the second beat. We could call it a Pasacai-style Ciaccona, or vice versa. Bach's combining of Ciaccona and Pasacai features in the same piece is not unique, but certainly no other composer combines diverse musical traditions in the masterly way he does. Thus, Bach's French-inspired Ciaccona also incorporates non-French elements, such as brilliant violin writing in the Italian style and multi-stopping and pseudo-polyphony of the German violin tradition. The result is a magnificent example of the so-called mixed taste with which German Baroque music was identified. But there is another national element, occasionally mentioned but perhaps not explored enough: the Spanish. The French Ciaccona and Pasacai, respectively, have distant origins in the Spanish Ciaccona, which accompanied wild, lascivious dancing, and the Pasacalla, an instrumental vamp between sections of a song. These originated independently in 16th century Spain, but shared a common association with the new five-string guitar and the use of short, repeated harmonic patterns that were improvised upon. Ciaccona dancing was especially associated with the lower strata of Spanish culture, a country that had colonial possessions in the New World, enslaved Africans, and historical links to the Moors. These connections with the Ciaccona and later Ciaccona were often cited in music dictionaries of the Baroque period, including that of Bach's Weimar relative, Johann Gottfried Walther. So it is quite possible that Bach was aware of this. The French, however, explicitly associated the Ciaccona and other dances of Spanish origin, like the sarabande and the folia, with the above-named peoples they regarded as exotic subjects of the Spanish. This is reflected in the regular use of castanets, tambourines, and guitars in performing them. Some passages of Bach's Ciaccona do, in fact, conjure up some hints of Spain. In the upper example shown here, there is an unusual violin writing of a percussive quality that might bring to some minds foot stomping, hand clapping, and castanet clicking. And in the lower example, the violin bariolage passage work, whereby a single pitch sounding repeatedly on one string alternates with changing pitches on another, seems to imitate a familiar guitar technique. The performance of the Bach Ciaccona by Luosha Fang, to which we now turn, is one that seeks to reinstate the tempo, rhythms, and passionate feeling of the dance, the virtuoso character of a grand finale, and the multiplicity of national styles that Bach has incorporated into this extraordinary work. And since this brilliant performance takes slightly over 10 minutes, rather than the usual 14 to 16, the listener is able to apprehend the overall structure with a clarity not otherwise possible, truly enabling one to marvel at Bach's singular imagination at work.